Hi Jonathan and anyone else who wants to watch. I thought I'd do a walkthrough and in real time, warts and all, completely raw, see if I can create this script that Jonathan is after. We started off this thread in the forum about how to select a track based on the track number. But we went on to work out that the workflow that was needed was to be able to have two buttons, one that went down a track and one that went up a track, and also an option for navigating to a specific track number and then being able to move between the tracks. So right now there's the colon key and the P key that do this in Pro Tools already. But let's work out if we can do this in a programmatic way rather than using keystrokes. Which is something, there's another thing that Jonathan, you're wanting, and that is to be able to scroll to the track and jump up to jumbo view and probably return that back to normal. We might leave that for the forum, but let's see how far we get with what we've got so far. So let's head on over to SoundFlow and get started. So I've created a track here, a command here. I'll just delete that so I can show you how to do it. So click plus and then go script, and let's call it navigate track. 8 tracks. Okay. Navigate tracks. So the first thing that we'll want to do is we'll want to get all of the tracks that are visible in the Pro Tools session. So we're going to be using the SoundFlow Pro Tools, the Pro Tools SDK rather than the sf.ui.Pro Tools SDK. So we're first going to need to invalidate the tracks to make sure nothing has changed before running the script. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go sf.app, and this is where all the external APIs are, and then we go .Pro Tools, and we'll go tracks, and we'll invalidate the tracks here, like so. So the next thing we want to do is we want to get all the visible tracks. So the visible tracks, when I say the visible tracks, if we head on over to Pro Tools here, I have a couple of tracks that are hidden here. So tracks 3 and 4 are hidden. So we want to only get the ones that are visible in here. So that'll be 1, 2, and then 5, 6 without 3 and 4. And then, all the rest of the tracks that are visible. Right now, I think there's 106 of them. Yes, there are. So in here, let's create a variable for the visible tracks. So const visible tracks equals, and then we'll go sf.app.protools tracks all items, all items, and now these are all the tracks. So what we need to do is we need to filter them out so we're only showing the ones that are visible. So I'm just going to go filter, and for filter we'll just go track, and for each of the tracks we want to see if they so track dot is hidden. So that's going to filter just the hidden tracks. So when this reports true, it will send that back. So what we do is if I go log visible tracks here and I run that, hang on, I've got to map the names out first, dot map, and then track dot name. So if I run that now, we get track 3 and 4. So they're the hidden ones. What we want to do is we want to return the ones that aren't hidden. So what we do is if we put an exclamation mark before this statement here, and that will mean that it will return the opposite. So if I clear out the log now and I run that again, as you can see, if I scroll all the way up to the top here, we've got 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's just showing the visible, it's just logging out the visible tracks now. So now that we've done that, I can shrink this down again. And let's remove this log here. We don't need that anymore. And we just want to return the tracks here. So I'm going to just remove the mapping of the names there. But what we can also do is we can go const visible track names equals visible tracks, and then mapping the names. So now we've got access to the visible tracks and the visible track names. So the next thing we want to do is we want to create a function to navigate between the tracks, so either going up or down. And by default, probably have it going down. So let's create a function. And to do that, you write function and then name the function. So let's call this navigate track. And that's going to take one argument, and it's going to be direction. But I want to have this so I can specify in the function call the direction, and then have whether it's up or down, so it makes sense when I'm reviewing the script later. So I'm going to make this an object, and I'll show you what that does in a moment. So if I was to go log navigate track, so this is just going to log navigate track when I run the function. But if I run the function and this doesn't have anything inside this, we go navigate track. So we're calling the function like that. And if I clear out the log and if I run that, it just says navigate track. So if I was to say, put in here direction, and in here, if I put up, and then instead of logging navigate track here, I write direction in there and run the script again, it logs up because it's passing this string into the direction and then logging the direction within the function. So the thing is, when I say navigate track up, it's might be confusing later on to work out what the up is for, but we know it's direction from the function, but I want to have it stated within the function call. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this an object, and then make this an object, and then inside that I'm going to create a new line, control spacebar, and then I'm going to add direction, and then I'm going to say up like that. So now this is going to do exactly the same thing. So if I clear my log again, and I'm using Control Shift and C to clear the log, and then I'm running the command with command and return when I'm in the editor here. So now that's working, and it's working as expected. However, if I roll over this, it's saying that the direction can be of type any. We want this to be specifically two separate strings, either up or down. So let's make sure that that's the case. This is more advanced, but it's good to know. And what we're going to use is what's called JSDoc, and we can specify what the argument types are by doing this. So I'm going to say do a / 2 stars and then press return, and that's going to give us the setup for the JSDoc. And now we're going to type in @param, and we're going to put an open object here, and I'm just going to write object in here, be object, and then I'm just going to go obj. Actually, let's call it args. So it's the arguments that we're putting in there. So it's an object of arguments. So now if we press return and then do another @param, we're going to do one for the direction. So that's going to be args.direction, like so. So now that we've got that done, we're going to specify the different types that the direction can be. So those are going to be up, and then we use the pipe keystroke, which is just above the return key, so shift and then the key above the return key. And then we're going to do another one for down. So now, if I roll over this, hang on, oops, there we go. PA. Told you, spelling mistakes and all. Okay, so we've got up and down, so it can either be up or down. And let's also specify that we want this to be default to down. So we'll just go default is down, like so. Direction equals down. There we go. Great. We had to have the case specified, so we've got up and down like that. So now we've got that. We need to work out what the current index position is of the selected track, and then from the selected track we want to find in the visible track names where the next index is, so that we can then go to that track and navigate to that next track. So to do that, let me see, I'm going to delete this out. So pause for a second because I thought maybe I was overthinking this, and let's backtrack a little bit. What we need to do is we need to find the selected track name, and then from there we can work out its index compared to the visible track names. So to do that, I'm going to put another line up here, and I'm going to go const, and I'm going to call this selected track name, and we're going to go visible tracks. So visible tracks, and from there I'm going to do the find method, which is going to find the first that matches what we want. So the first track and track that is selected is selected, like that, and then we're going to return its name. So that is how we get the selected track name. So now in here, what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to get the index of the selected track name. So what we'll do is we'll do visible track names dot visible track names find index, and then we'll find the index of the selected track name. Okay, let me just see what's going on there. Index of, that's why, of course. I had the wrong method there. So visible track names, index of selected track name. So now if I was to log the index of the visible track name, we've got 2. So of the selected track name. So as you can see, this is because JavaScript is 0-based language. This is going to be 0, this is going to be 1, and this is going to be 2. So if I select this, it's going to be 3. As you can see, it logs 3 when I run the command. So now we've got that. Based on this index, what we're going to do is we're going to make a variable out of this line here. And I'll go const, and we'll go selected track index and equals. So selected track visible, so yeah, maybe selected track index. It may not be completely explicit, but I think it's good enough for rock and roll here. So now we've got the selected track index. If we wanted to get the index of the next track, that would be selected in track index plus 1. So if we go const, and then we go target track index, equals, and we go selected track index +1, and this is going to be for down, but if for -1 we want it to for up we want it to be -1. So the way that we would do that is we would say const, and we'd say, let's call it like index offset, and so the index offset is based on the direction. So if the direction equals down, then we want to the index offset to be 1. If not, we want it to be -1, like so. So now we've got that. What we're going to do is we're going to say target track index is going to be target track index is a selected track index plus the index offset, so which is either 1 or -1. So if it's down, it's going to be 1. If it's up, it's going to be -1. So now we need to get the selected track and navigate to that track. So if I say, first of all, if I go copy this, and I'm just going to type here, I'm going to say visible tracks and index. Actually, this works. And no, actually, I'm going to do this. Instead of this, I'm going to say visible track names, and then target index from that. So that's going to give me the target track name. So const target track name equals the visible tracks of that index. So let's go log and say target track index. This is set to down, so if we're on track 6 now, it's going to return audio 7. So it's going to log out audio 7 there. So if I change this to down and then clear out the log there, run that, and it's telling me the index. I didn't change that. Let's do that there. Run that, and it gets audio 7, which is the one below it. If this was up and we ran that, it would say audio 5, which is one up from there. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that so for instance, if we were on audio 1 and we ran this, it's going to say undefined. So what we want to do is we want to say if the track name, target track name, is undefined, and we do that by putting an exclamation mark at the front there, we throw an error saying actually no, we just want to swallow it. We just don't want it to do anything if that's the case. So if it's undefined, and then we want to throw 0, which is means that it's just going to return out of the command. So that's done. So now if I run this, if I run the command, it does absolutely nothing because it's already at the top and there's not a track before it. So if I go to the bottom, or let's just go to the bottom, and then I'll run this once, and as you can see, it returns 105, which is the one above it. But if I change this to down, that's going to do nothing. So when I run the command, it does absolutely nothing because the track below it is undefined. There's nothing more after 106, audio 106. So now that that's taken care of, what we want to do is we want to select the track. So to do that, we're going to use the Pro Tools SDK again. So I'm going to use sf.app.protools.track I'm not sure it's called track select. Okay, there is select tracks by name, and we've got the target track name that we want to select. So we put this in here and we do track names. So track names is looking for an array, a string array. So we've got to put an array there, and because we're putting one track name into that, we're just going to paste that in like that. So now if we've got set to down, and I'm going to add a keyboard trigger to this. I'm just going to add Control X so we can check out if this works. So if I go right up to the top here and I use Control X, as you can see, it navigates down. It keeps on navigating down. You can see there on the side, and it'll keep on going until it reaches the end. There we go. So that's that. However, we need this to the track to scroll to view. So now we can use, after this, we can go SF, and maybe we'll do, let me see, maybe we'll do sf.ui.pro tools, and then we'll do get track by name. Get track by name, or track get by name. Get by name, and we'll get the track by the name, and so we're going to go target track name, and from that target track we're going to go track, and we're going to scroll the track into view. And because that's a method, we need to put parentheses after it so it calls it. So now, if I go back up to the top here, select that, and if I go Control X, if I do that and I keep going, it goes through and scrolls to those tracks, like so. So it keeps it on the screen there. So that's good. And then if we've got up, we do the same thing, and keeps going up until we get to the top. So there might be a better way to do this. I might look into that and see if there is a better way to do that. But right now I think that that's a good way to go. So now, the thing is, in your question, Jonathan, you were, or in this post here, you were saying that you want to be able to navigate to a track number. So to do that, we need to put a clause in place to do that. So let's actually, before we do that, let's make this into a command template and add some buttons to a Stream Deck. So to do that, I'm just going to clean this up a little bit. So navigate direction. I'm going to remove the stated direction here, and what we're going to do is we're going to convert this into a command template, and a command template will allow us to get properties and have presets for up and down. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the convert to template, and that will convert it to a template. It says converting a script to a template is undoable. Are you sure? So I'm going to press OK, and we'll continue. So now we've done that. Now we've got this tab up the top here that allows us to create template properties. So I'm going to create a property, and I'm going to call it direction. And as you can see, it's creating the script property name here, and it does it in camel case. So if this was 2 words, offset, so say it was offset direction, as you can see, it makes it in camel case here. But let's just call it direction. That's all we want, and it's just going to do it in direction. And then so from the script, we'll be able to access that by event.props.direction. So I'm going to go OK. So this is going to take 2 options. So for that, we're going to use what's called a user-defined enum. So I'm just going to write enum here. And so we've got the type user-defined enum. So we've got all these different types we can choose, but user-defined enum allows us to specify what we want to have as options. So we're going to make two of them. The first one's going to be up, and the next one's going to be down. And so now we've got default values up and down. So I can make a default value as down, and so if the preset is set to nothing, it's just going to go down. So now we've got, as you can see, it's turned this into a command template that has factory presets and my presets. So let's create two presets in here. One for down, so it's down, which we're just going to leave as the standard preset, and then we'll select factory presets again, and then we'll go new preset, and we'll call this one up, and we'll switch this to up. So now if I was to run this one, we'd go upper track. So if I'm in Pro Tools, so if I'm on Audio 2 and I use the up preset, directions not defined. Okay, we've got to do one more step. We need to actually pass the direction into the function. And as I mentioned, the event props direction is how we get that that property into the function, so into the command. So I'm going to go const direction equals event dot props dot direction, which is exactly so this here is exactly what you see in the property name here, event props direction. So that's there like that. So now if I use the up button, it's going to go to audio 1, and if I use the down button, it's going to go to audio 2. If I use the down button again, audio 5, and up button again, audio 2. So that's doing exactly what we want. So now that we've got that, we can display on a deck what we the up and down buttons. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go plus new, and I'm going to create a new deck, and I'll say navigation deck. So now we'll go down and up. So I'm going to set this to show on this machine just so you guys can see it. And now if I go over to Pro Tools, I've got up and down. So I can click up and down, and so that's going to navigate to stuff. We can add icons to these. That's probably for another video, but I'll do that sometime. So now the next step is if we want to navigate specifically to a track, we're going to need SoundFlow to prompt for an action. So let's go back to the navigate tracks here, and let's create a main function down here, because main we'll go function and then main, and then in here we'll move that into there, format that. And so what we're going to want to do is, if say we hold down option and click up or down, we want it to ask us what track we want to navigate to. So instead of having to use a third button, we could probably set it up as a third button as well, but let's just work with that. So right at the top of the script here, I'm going to, so when the script is run, we want SoundFlow to acknowledge if the option key is being held. So let's go const, and we'll go is option held, option modifier, is option modifier held. And the way that we do that is we go event, and we go keyboard state, and we want has alt. So option is the same as alt on a Mac, and so we've got has alt. So now we've got that. We're going to use this this variable here to work out whether we want to navigate the tracks or we want to specifically go to a track. So in here, I'm going to go if is option modifier held, and else, and then we want to run this code which we had before, and obviously we need to call the main function down the bottom here to make that work. So I'm going to use option shift F again to clear up the script. And now what we're going to do is, if option modifier is held, we want SoundFlow to ask the user, or ask Jonathan, what track number he'd like to navigate to. So to do that, let's go const, we'll call it target, so user, what's the name for it? Track number, and this is going to return a string. I'll explain this in a second. I'm going to go equals, and then what we're going to do is we're going to use an interaction, a SoundFlow interaction, to bring up a dialog to ask what track we want to be on, or we want to navigate to. So I'm going to go sf.interaction dot, and then we'll do display dialog, and the display dialog has a bunch of different parameters that we can set, or properties that we can set. So as you can see in here, if I have open and close parentheses, and inside that I have an empty object, and inside that, if I place my cursor there and I use Control and Spacebar, it gives me a whole bunch of options. So the first one I want to do is I want to set the title of the window that pops up. So the title will go navigate to track. Let's call it navigate to track. If we put a comma at the end of this one here, and then go to the next line and use Control Spacebar, that's going to bring up the other options. It's really important to know that you need a comma at the end here for the code hinting to work, otherwise it won't. So we wanted to also prompt the user for what they need to do. And so in this case, they need to please enter the destination or the track number. Maybe the target track number, like so. Then next line after a comma, we'll do Control Spacebar again, and for the buttons, we're going to put two buttons on this dialog. The first one's going to be OK, and the second one is going to be cancel. So it allows us to cancel. So then the default button we want to be selected is OK. So that's the one that'll be selected when it comes up. And then the next, we want the cancel button to be cancel. And it's important to specify this, so when it's cancelled, it actually cancels and stops running the script. So that's good. And then we want the default answer. Let's have the default answer to be track 1. So it's going to return a string of track 1. It always returns a string, and that's why I've written track number string there. But the way that we actually access that is it has a return value here, and we go text, and that's going to return the text. So after this, we'll need to convert this into a number. So we'll do that shortly. So the next thing that we need, there's one more thing that we need here, and as you can see, if I did the code hinting there without having a comma at the end here, it doesn't work, so I'll fix that up. Let's go here, and then what we need to do is we need to enter a no, I think that's actually all we need. Hidden answer, no, there we go. So everything we need in there, I'll just format that. So the next thing we want to do here is we need to convert the track number string into a track number. So track number, we're going to go const track number, and that's going to be equal to track number string, track number string, and we're going to make this a number by doing this, like so. So now we need to navigate to the track. So we've got this this track here. I'm going to copy this because we're going to reuse this code, and in here we're going to find the from the track number. We're going to find the visible track numbers. We're going to find the name of the track. So I'm going to go target track name. Actually, yeah, I'll go target track number. So it's the track number. Okay, so we got target track visible track names, and we want the index to be the track number -1, because this is the actual track number, but because JavaScript is a zero-based language, the index is going to be 0. And this might be actually better to move this out of here, and we'll call this here const track index equals, and we'll just do that. Typo there. And now we've got visible track names. So now we've got the track name here. So we go track name equals, let's make that a constant. Okay, so now we've got the track name. I can do this, and actually these the better names for these would be target track number, target track number, target track index, and target track name. So now we've got target track name. That's going to select the target track by its name. So then we'd also want to scroll the track into view like so. And now, excuse that, someone's trying to call. Okay, so now we've got that. Okay, what have we done here? I missed one thing. Target track name. Okay, this is because we've changed the target track number. Actually, let me just show you this. If I have this set to track number, and it's being used downstream, as you can see, it's being used downstream of that, and also track index here. What we want to do is we want to be able to change everything moving forward from that. So if I use F2 and change this to target track number, it's going to go through and change everything moving forward from that. And again, for this one, it's going to change this one and this one. If I do F2 and then I go target track index, and as you can see, it's changed this one and this one together. So there's no issues there. So now this should work if we hold down the option modifier and click one of these buttons. It's going to instead run everything in this section here instead of this section here. So this section is going to select a track. No, it's going to select next or previous. No, it's probably the better wording for that would be navigate tracks up, down, just depending on the direction. And then this, in this section here, it's going to ask user for target track number. Okay, so now if I hold down option, so if we, let's go over to Pro Tools. If I hold down option, it's going to come up with asking for the track, and in there I'm going to write track 6, and if I do return, that's going to find of the visible tracks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to navigate to that. And then if I click this again, this is going to navigate up and navigate down. However, if I hold down Option and click down then, on that, and then we can go to track 1 and do that, and then it navigates back to track 1. So it's a quick way of doing things. So I think that's all for this video, but let's have just a quick look and see what we've got here. But this seems to be working fairly well, and hopefully, Jonathan, this helps, and maybe we can address the other part of what you want to do, which is making sure that the track size is correct later on in that thread. I'll just go through and make sure all my code looks okay. Let's put some semicolons in here. Great. Great. That needs one. Great. Yeah, I think that's good. Thanks for listening, and I hope it helps.